Well, that was fast. The Montreal Canadiens earlier this morning ended up signing forward Alexandre Texier to a 2-year, $2.5 million AAV extension. It's a $5 million total contract for a guy who, at the start of the season, we didn't really even know if that was possible, honestly. Texier got his contract terminated with the St. Louis Blues. He only had 1 point in 8 games. Things weren't really looking all too well for him. So, he wanted a new opportunity, and he signed a 1-year, $1 million AAV deal with the Montreal Canadiens, and he has redeemed himself tenfold. Quite literally, you could say. You could even say 16-fold, because he went from 1 point in 8 games with the Blues to 16 points in 25 games with the Habs, and he's gotten 10 points in his last 10 games, 8 points in his last 5. Alexandre Texier is legitimately a top 6 forward option with the Montreal Canadiens, and we are seeing this in spades. 2 assists against Carolina, 3-point games and back-to-back nights against Calgary and Florida, not to mention a hat trick, 2 assists against the Vancouver Canucks. Alexandre Texier wasn't really all that productive in St. Louis. He's really productive with the Habs. He has fit so well with this organization from the moment he stepped on and scored that shootout goal that I think he's become an immediate fan favorite. The fact that he is a natural Frenchman, and the fact that you just love cheering for underdog stories. That's exactly what Texier provides as a guy who was a former second-round pick by the Blue Jackets back in 2017. He was really good for Grenoble in the French league as a teenager, and eventually took his talents over to various parts of Europe, different international tournaments. He played in the Finnish Liga as well, before making an impact with the Blue Jackets in their 2019 playoff run, scoring 3 points in 8 games as a rookie. He then started to move around a bit more. He had some seasons in the NHL, 20 points, 36 games played in 21-22. That's really solid, honestly. But then Texier went back over to Europe, played in the Swiss League, went back to Columbus, got sent over to St. Louis, didn't have any sort of a role with one of the worst teams in the NHL this year, had his contract terminated, and now he's in Montreal, signing a deal that is actually more expensive than the contract he had with the Blues. $2.1 million a year for 2 seasons, that was. Now he signed on for $2.5. The agent's doing cartwheels, Texier himself is happy, and the fan base is obviously stoked too. Take a look at this comment from Texier himself on signing a 2-year, $2.5 million extension. It feels good. I'm very happy for these next 2 years. I want to stay here. This is where I want to play, so the negotiations happened rather quickly. He also had what St. Louis Blues fans are going out there and saying. This is the St. Louis Blues subreddit. Habs signed Texier to a $2.5 million AAV extension. Good for Tex. Crazy how fast he got this deal. He's been hot the last 10 games, and that was enough to get the extension. That is crazy. Good job by his agent. Good for him. The Habs probably signed him early for 2 reasons. 1, he has been doing surprisingly well, and if he continues, his value is just going to increase over time. And 2, they increase his chances of continuing his momentum while the Habs battle to keep their spot for the playoffs, as this removes some weight from his shoulders. This assures stability for Texier, and it gives him 2 more years to prove his value as an NHL player, and the amount isn't a huge risk for the Habs. It's a win-win situation. And then another reply says, he's good now? 7 goals and 9 assists in 25 games. He fits in very well with Montreal's style of play, and he seems very happy to be in a French-speaking place. Now, for Texier, this is actually a bargain, if you really think about it. Like, yeah, he is a very productive player right now, but he's also a first-liner with Montreal. Imagine getting a first-liner to sign a deal for $2.5 million a year. He's 26, so the contract takes him till he's 28, essentially. And if the Canadiens can keep Texier in this level of a talent profile, then $2.5 million is a steal. Imagine paying that much for a first liner. The Montreal Canadiens are not overpaying really anybody, at least within the important players of the lineup. You can say what you want about Gallagher or Josh Anderson, but when it comes to the main meat and potatoes, the straw that stirs the drink, the biggest cogs in this team, they're not making a lot of money. Demidov's still in his ELC, as is Oliver Kapanen. Slav, Caulfield, and Suzuki are all signed on long-term to very reasonable deals, as are Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson. Mike Matheson's sticking around for the long haul, and now you've got Texier re-upping for $2.5 million a season? Kent Hughes is looking like a genius right here, and I don't think anybody really expected this out of Texier, firstly when he signed with Montreal to begin with, and secondly heading into the 2025-2026 campaign. Now, for what it's worth, I wanted to go out there and read the Our Hockey Threads comment section about Texier and his extension. Might be the shortest span of time ever between two contract signings. The initial deal was November 23rd, and he was extended on January 14th. And then you have some trivia here. Ilya Sorokin signed his first 2 NHL deals within a day of each other. Which, okay, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that happened. Islanders signed goalie Sorokin to a $2 million deal for next season. Okay, that's really interesting. Anyways, going back over here, $2.5 million, that is .65 Trent Fredericks. That's a pretty great way to feel about this. Texier seems to be able to go up and down the lineup. In the last 10 games, he is a point per game and a +8. Good chance he cools down, but he plays good hockey with Suzuki and Caulfield. That, I think, is the biggest aspect of Texier that we can acknowledge and admit. He plays well with the first line, and he isn't like a Yuri Slafkovsky where there are expectations for him to be a top-tier superstar. Slafkovsky, for what it's worth, has been arguably the Canadiens' best player the past few weeks. He has been so strong on the puck, so innovative, and he takes advantage of opportunities that are there. He plays so well with Kapanen and Demidov. And I can't help but feel that Slafkovsky was kind of being held back when he was playing with Suzuki and Caulfield. So move things around, get a new first-line winger. It's not Bolduc, it's Texier. He plays well with the first line, and you're not expecting him to be Yuri Slafkovsky level hyped up in the ways that Slav is, so he can just kind of play whatever it is that he feels right. And hey, Texier was not even an option for St. Louis this season. Now he's playing on the first line of one of the top teams in the Atlantic. I think that that's a pretty reasonable jump for him to be happy with. So, hey, as he has said himself, the contract was signed quickly. Negotiations happened rather quickly. With that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about the Alexandre Texier extension with the Montreal Canadiens? Kent Hughes gets himself another huge win. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.